What up, guys? Now, in light of all this talk of deadly diseases and vaccines in the media right now, I just wanted to provide some context as to what I and many others see is the master plan with this strategy. It's presented in the form of a science fiction story. Before I start this story, I just need you to understand what the term NPC means. It's an abbreviation for 3 words: non-player character. Now, this was first used, as far as I'm aware, it was first coined in a film called Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. Now, this film was set in a virtual reality computer game. And the non-player characters are characters that aren't played by a human. They operate via a script. They're programmed to operate within a narrow field of operation and often provide obstacles and challenges while you are trying to fulfill your goal within the game. Now, this reference, NPC, has more recently been started to be used as a category of people. So these NPCs in real life are just considered to follow a social script. They lack the capacity for free and independent thought. Some of these people just blindly follow authority without question or any analytical processing. These people often take the moral high ground and see themselves superior to anyone with independent thought and who questions the official narrative. And most normal people sometimes suspect these narratives and the authorities sometimes have ulterior agendas and motives, which these NPCs quickly like to jump on and quash and point the finger and shame and name and shame and have no real formal argument, just name calling is what we generally see. And it's just a program to enforce these social scripts. And what they don't realise is they're actually leading towards their own demise, more specifically. But it's also very detrimental to the well-being of everyone. Now, during the COVID crisis, these NPCs really came into their power. They followed the science completely blindly and got angry at anyone who opposed this narrative, anyone who wouldn't indulge in their fear of a perceived threat. And they rejoiced in the science that produced billions of vaccines seemingly overnight and queued for hours for a prick in the arm, not just to save their own life, but it's to save society as a whole. Safe and effective was their mantra, even though the goalposts constantly moved. It was get your shot, then it was now you need to be 2 shots to be protected, and then it was it's not as effective, you can still catch and spread. It's not necessarily always safe, there are some problems with it. Now you need a booster every 3 months, 6 months, I don't know what it is. Now you need a flu shot alongside it, and so on and so forth. This narrative kept moving forward, gained momentum. But these NPCs went along with it blindly, didn't start to question anything, and they still have their superiority complex and still diminish anyone that questions this narrative. Now, I understand society was put on hold, there was a lot of fear propaganda. Some good people understandably fell for this fear campaign, maybe got a jab, maybe got 2, maybe 3, so on and so forth, who knows. But those that have pursued this insanity all the way through to boost the number X or whatever, they're the guys that we're looking at as falling into this NPC category. Now, COVID and all these jabs, it was a bit of a precursor, it was a bit of a test. It kind of sorted the wheat from the chaff. It was all part of a bigger plan, and a plan that's about to manifest itself into existence. Despite many people already thinking these jabs are already responsible for the deaths of so many, the best is still yet to come. This was in preparation for a second pandemic, a pandemic that will make COVID look like the common cold. No. I know what you're thinking. Now, there's a school of thought that suggests that these boosters are loaded with nanoparticles that are programmed to activate when a certain signal is sent. And maybe it was just coincidence that all these 5G towers went up in every town and city in the UK during lockdown when no one could take to the streets and protest. Maybe that was a coincidence. Maybe they're sending the signal, maybe they're not. Maybe it could be as simple as another virus may trigger something within those injections that are already in people's systems that may start a series of events within themselves that may lead to some very serious complications. I don't know. I don't know the intricacies of how or what is about to take place. But what I am speculating is that I think we're going to see death and destruction on an unprecedented scale. Now, what's the purpose of all this? Now, what we need to understand is that these NPCs have never really been the main point of focus. They've been a tool to be utilised. And before that, they were just stewards of the Matrix. But a tool that's utilised is also a disposable asset, okay? Now, the real point of focus is all those people who are struggling with the concept of life that exists within this current society, where people's wings have been clipped, where they're just being used as a resource, as not as a free, autonomous human being. They're the main focal point of attention. So, it's never really been about money and possessions. The real resource in this world is our energetic life force that is extracted through pain, suffering, and emotional trauma. It exists on every level of life on this planet. And this energetic charge that's being harvested is now being more commonly called as something called loosh, L-O-O-S-H. Now, the NPCs never really held a lot of this energetic charge because, like I said, they were more just a programmed droid. It's the emotionally charged humans that really hold the potential for this harvestable energetic charge called loosh. Now, there is a big harvest coming, and the reason for this pending harvest is that there's two things going on here. The planet itself is on an evolutionary cycle. Now, all this darkness and debaucherous energy that's here harvesting this energetic, emotional loosh is actually here by design. It's actually assisting us learn and grow. It's part of our evolutionary step. It's part of our upgrade. It's been part of the challenge, it's part of the process, okay? So to resent all this darkness and all these challenges is almost to resent, a pending evolutionary upgrade. So we need to stay positive. But there's something else. Because of this evolutionary cycle that we're a part of, the base frequency of this planet is changing. There's evidence for this all around us. People are waking up. People are becoming more aware of what's going on. And they know their time, these parasites, their time is limited here on this planet. And what they need to do is take their human resource and relocate it to a different paddock. Because this paddock, this planet, is changing. It's changing its frequency, and we will be out of reach to these parasites when this change really starts to take effect. So part of this harvest, there's going to be a lot of death and destruction on an unprecedented scale. The fear factor is going to be off the charts. There's going to be so many things, and it's all about resenting your existence here on this planet. And it's going to be all a big push in order to get you to want to relocate willingly by your own accord, and those facilities will be offered. So if these NPCs start dropping like flies, it's going to set the stage for a new fear campaign that's going to be undeniable. There's going to be no denying there's people dropping like flies. They're going to use that to put us under immense pressure to undergo a new round of new vaccines. Now, these new vaccines, they won't be about killing people off, because they're going to want to preserve the integrity of their harvesting herd. Okay, so it's not about killing people off. It's about influencing decision making under times of stress and duress, which will be imminently created. And I feel there will be so much pressure that this campaign is going to be so powerful that these vaccines could be pretty much enforced. We sort of touched on it a little bit with COVID, that they might, be mandatory and this, that and the other. Well, this time I've got a feeling it could be military on the streets. If you're not vaccinated, you're being herded up and categorised and put in a camp somewhere. I'm speculating. I hope it doesn't come to this, but this is, I'm looking at how these people operate and the potential that lies there within. Okay, so it could be a really testing time, especially in the face of it being undeniable that people are dropping like flies, and there's going to be, the truth obviously is going to be very buried and not publicised purposefully, obviously. So I've referred to these parasites, and I've not gone into any detail as to who they are. Now, I'm not going to at this point, because I've said too much already at this stage, but I'm going to give you some clues, okay? And it's not, what we're facing is not just one or two individuals. This is a whole empire, an imperial structure with a control figure at the head, at the top. And the figure at the top is known by every man and woman on this planet. We all know the name of this entity that's at the top of this pyramid. And this entity isn't earthbound, doesn't live on the earth. It lives in the stars or the heavens, depending on your terminology. And this entity has been in control of the human race for thousands upon thousands of years. And this entity is commonly known as God. And I also believe at the very final stage of the harvest, I believe this entity is even going to present itself. But we will see. Speculation at this point. So, to conclude, this was a science fiction story based upon real life. If you want more science fiction stories that relate to real life, please subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. And please, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, or wherever I can distribute this story, please don't ban this video. Please don't ban the account. This is a science fiction story. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed.